Hi, I'm Julia and this is my shed. So today we're addressing the elephant in the room. So a number of regular viewers have been quite insistent that the smoke box is too low. And I've been going, well, I need the smoke box to line up with these holes. The holes for the steam pipes. But after doing quite a bit of research, what I've seen is that the smoke box, I'll just put that ruler in temporarily, the smoke box should be no lower than the top of the frames. So obviously if we look at, I think you can still see that. So then that obviously makes this pipe not line up at all. So I've been pondering it in the background, and it would certainly explain a lot of the trouble I've been having if we can raise the smoke box up. But then the question is what do I do with the steam pipe? So I've been racking my brains, which obviously is quite painful. And I think I've come up with a plan. So I'm not sure how much I'll get done this week, but the plan is in two parts. First, adjust the saddle so that we can lift this by 20mm. I think I calculated it at 20mm. And then what I'll do is make two vertical adapters that will go between this and the cylinder block or valve, or top of the valve really. Move the steam inlet pipes up by 20mm, so that would basically mean making a threaded adapter with a male thread to go into the cylinder block and a female thread for this pipe. So we'll just raise everything up 20mm. So we'll get cracking on that this week. I think we need to get this resolved before we do much more. And I'll yeah, so hopefully you can come along for the ride, and yeah, hopefully there's not too many I told you so. Anyway, so I'll take the smoke box off and then I'll bring you back and show you what I'm going to do with the saddle. So I don't want to remove this stretcher. It is only 4 bolts, but it would disturb a whole lot of previous work, which I'm loath to do. I don't think it's particularly necessary anyway. So what I'm planning to do is basically I've got this big chunk of aluminium I've had for ages and I can never find a use for it. So basically I'm going to cut a slice off this aluminium. I think it's a cord actually, the mathematical name for that. Just slightly over 20mm. And then I will machine that nice and flat, drill a hole through for the exhaust, and then I've got one screw hole here I can use, so we'll screw it into that, and that will give us a nice flat base that at the same height as the chassis. So we'll cut it off roughly there, and then the next phase will be to machine in a semicircle into this, possibly this piece of aluminium, I'm not sure yet, to provide some support for the smoke box. So it's quite a lot of work, but I think after weighing up all the arguments, I think this is the way forwards. It won't affect anything I've done up to now on the superheater and all that sort of stuff, because it's not really going to change the relationship between the boiler and the smoke box a great deal. They're just the two together will just be a bit higher up in the chassis. So yeah, let's get cracking on that. I've figured out what the problem is with my bandsaw, thankfully. It was just one of the covers had been knocked and the safety switch had been deployed, so that was an easy fix, thankfully. It's nice when you get an easy win, isn't it? Okay, so that's what we've got to do. Even the bandsaw struggled to get through this massive lump of aluminium. I did find using a bit of WD-40 helped it along a bit. So this was just a bit too wide to fit in my vice jaws, so I've just shaved about 1/8 of an inch off. Obviously it's made a bit of a mess there, so I'm going to clean that edge up. I'll probably clean up the other side, and then we'll start working on this face. Okay, so this, I'm not sure how secure this is, so I'll go towards the jaws, so I don't really want it to tilt. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this setup, so I'll just take it nice and easy. So the first job is just to get this into a flat plane. Obviously try and just power hacksaw something this thick, it is a bit wibbly wobbly. So we'll give that a go, and I'll probably put you on time lapse for this because it's going to take quite a while, I think. So you probably noticed I was using WD-40 just to help the cutting, and I've got an absolutely fantastic finish on that. It's a shame nobody will ever see that. But, as you can see, we're getting quite a good reflection there, so very pleased. So I've marked out 2 holes. This will go into the front part of the stretcher, and that'll be the clearance hole for M4. And then this is where the exhaust will come up. So you can see we didn't have enough material to go sort of, would need to have got to here to have the full full depth, but I don't think we actually need that really. It will be supported along these 2 edges and across here, and obviously bolted there, so I think that'll be fine. Yeah, so we'll get these holes drilled and yeah, take it from there. So I'm just using my wiggler to line up where I need to drill. I'm quite pleased with where that's going. So the first job is to centre drill and do a M4 clearance. So we'll get that done. Then I'll probably counterbore for a cap head screw as well while I'm at it. Okay, so we'll do M4 clearance now. Right, that's good. Then we'll counterbore with the 7mm drill. I'll get the cap head screw and just check that's deep enough too. Okay, yep, that's just below the surface, that's perfect. So that's how that will go. Right, we'll line up for the bigger hole now. Okay, we'll drill through all the way with the 3.5mm first. I'll just giving it a squirt of WD-40 as well. I'll swap some drills over and then I'll bring you back. So the next two drills will be 10 and half an inch. So 10 mil and half an inch. You go down a speed. And then the last two drills are taper shank drills, so I'll have to take my quick change attachment off. Okay, so this drill's 21 mil, and I'm going to try drilling this at 540. We'll see how we get on with that. I think we'll need lots of WD-40 anyway. Let's give it a go. Oh, the machine's shaking. Oh, spectacular. So in case you were wondering, this hole's 21 mil, which matches the hole that's in the smoke box, and this one's obviously M4 that connects into the stretcher. So it's not particularly solid, but I can put a little bit of silicone in there eventually. That'll just provide a bit more of a solid bedding. So now what you all want to know is what does it look like with the smoke box in place? So let's have a go at that, shall we? I'll take the regulator off for now, just because it's going to get in the way. Like a smoke box. I'll put you into a different position and we'll see what we can see. Okay, so you can probably see I've got a big block of steel just supporting the weight at the front of the boiler there, and I may need to add in a block of something or other just to take some of the weight from the front of the boiler. Otherwise we've got quite a big gap here. Sort of from here to sort of here where the boiler joins, so that's going to give us quite a bit of turning momentum. So I'll probably add in some sort of support where my finger is. Not sure if you can see there. So that's the first thing. So at this height, it pains me to say it, but there would have actually been clearance for the way shaft under here now. There's quite a bit of clearance there now, which is a bit of a shame, but hey ho. And finally, the front of the boiler is now here on this ledge, which is what everybody's been saying is where it should be. I think I need countersink screws there. So that means there is a bit of a gap to the ash pan now. So we should be able to bend this bracket back up as it was before. So I don't think that's going to cause us any problems really. So no big deal. Yeah, so that's the first stage. So we'll need to move these upwards. But that's a job for another day. Okay, so we got the height correct, but at the moment we've only got one bolt holding the front. So the front of the smoke box is nicely secured. But what we need now is something that sits a bit further back in the chassis on this horizontal stretcher that then supports sort of, it'll be just in front of this row of rivets, I think. But we want a nice curved support in this area, so to basically fill up this space here. It'll go a bit further back, but where the chassis kicks up to be horizontal, it'll sit about there, I think. So, but we can sort of measure in this area to get roughly what we need. So I've got this big chunk of aluminium. So I'm thinking I might be able to use this. So it needs to be needs to fit within the chassis. It doesn't have to be a tight fit, I don't think, at the moment, because as we know the boiler doesn't sit perfectly straight. Yeah, so I need to cut this so it will fit inside the chassis, and then mill out a circular section. So we'll get it to width first, and see how we get on, I think. So luckily we've fixed our bandsaw now, so we can chop that with the bandsaw and then take it from there, I think. Okay. So we've got the block set up in the vise. I've used a square just to make sure that it's fairly vertical. Just double checking there. Yeah, it's not too bad. So I'll straighten this off and then turn it round and make the other side parallel. And then we can start looking at making a curve inside it. Okay, I'll put you on time lapse now, and we'll just get that. I just need to do one more cut, I think, and we should be all level then. Again, a lovely lovely finish again, which is nice. So that sits nicely in the in between the chassis rails. I did want it to be a bit loose, so we've got some options to give ourselves a bit of adjustability there. So what I'll do next is mark roughly where that curve's going to be, and we'll have a quick look, see if I can do it in the lathe, but I think even with an aluminium block it's going to be very what's the word, bit lumpy, shall we say. Out of balance, that's the word, yes. So probably easier to do it on the mill, I think. So it's taken me a while to get this set up working. So I've got my Vertex 6-inch rotary table. I usually have this set up with a stepper motor driving it for indexing. So I've had to put the manual handle back on. I've got my biggest Myford, I've got the Myford faceplate adapter, or the Myford nose in the rotary table. And I've got a Myford faceplate. This is my biggest faceplate. It's probably I think it's probably a 12-inch diameter, I'm not sure. It's a big one anyway. And then I've got 3 engineer's clamps, and to get the clamps to work properly I've actually had to put a packer underneath, and because this is sort of where it's been cast, there's voids between. There is ribs, but there's nowhere really to clamp onto, so I've actually got a spacer under there as well, so we're not just. And then a bit of sacrificial copper sheet as well, because obviously we need to go right the full depth. So on the workbench I've sort of set this up and clamped it so that actually I'll move you round. Hold on a second. So this line is actually the inside of the smoke box, but that was the easiest thing to set up, and I've just checked that we're sort of following that line as the rotary table goes. It's probably close, well, as close as perhaps 1/2 mil. It's probably no more accurate than that. The other thing I've got to be careful of is that this will unscrew if we have cutting forces this way, so I'll have to rotate it into the cutter from the back. So we'll sort of start here and then work along like that. So I'm hoping 3 clamps will be strong enough. There's only one way to find out really, and that's to get a cutter in and see what happens, I think. I did think about using the saw to cut some of this out, but because it's so thick I don't think we'd actually gain much in time, so we may as well just use the mill and take small cuts, and we should be okay, hopefully. Well, let's find out, shall we? This is as new for me as it is for you guys. So I was getting quite a lot of vibration, so the clamps were starting to loosen up, so I just retightened them there. So this is a 14mm depth of cut, and then I'm going into the cut 2mm each time round. So I've just dropped it down another 14mm now, and we'll start going in taking 2mm cuts. Certainly worked a lot better with some WD-40 as a lubricant. And yeah, I'm starting to completely cover the milling machine in aluminium swarf. So the final cut, I ran out of clearance where the clamps were holding onto the work, so I've come down as far as I can, and yeah, just have to make the most of it. So I didn't really pay much attention to this dimension when I was choosing this block. It was just sort of a convenient chunk of aluminium. What I realised when I got on the milling machine was I could only go in so far with the milling cutter. I was just, you probably saw at the end of there, I was just trying to go down a few more mil just to get a bit extra. But unfortunately the cutter dug in and it just flung the workpiece off. So we've got a little bit of a carnage here, but that's not a problem. But hopefully you can see we've got quite a nice match up to the bottom of the smoke box now, and I think this distance here, that width, is going to be plenty good enough to support the smoke box. So what I'll have to do is just chop this section off and remachine it, just this bottom edge. So I'm pleased with how that came out. I don't think I've machined such a big radius before. I mean, it's 165mm diameter, so 82.5 mil radius, so quite a big radius. Also I had to get the big face plate from the Myford on the case. As you can see, we have a scene of carnage. There is a lot of mess to clear up. So before I started doing this aluminium work, I did clean the milling machine, so it's yeah, that didn't last long, did it? And the floor's quite covered as well. So, but I'm going to call that a success. I shall get onto the bandsaw again. We'll cut that extra bit off, and then I need to break down all this lot and get the vice back on the milling machine. So yeah, it's been an interesting bit of work. This, I've been using some different pieces of equipment, so which is always nice. So yeah, I'll bring you back once we've done some power hacksawing, or bandsawing even. Okay, so I've cut this off on the bandsaw. Got a really nice finish actually. So you can see I've just come a little bit short of the where I've cut the section out, so I'm just going to finish it off. So we'll have a go at that and see where we get on. So I've got that in the position where I'd like it to be. I'm using the screw holes that they're originally to hold, just to hold that nice and solid, and it doesn't seem too bad actually. I was thinking I might need to drill a hole from the smoke box into this just to make it a bit more rigid, but actually it's already pretty good. Yeah, I might still do that, but yeah, it's very pleased with that. So I think we'll do a trial fit now. I have noticed that it's a bit high at the back, so I'll only buy like a mil or something. So I'll put the boiler in, and we'll see what that looks like. That may be a good thing, or if not, we can always drop it down. So yeah, let's do a bit of fine tuning then, which is good. Hopefully you can see that the gap here is much smaller than the gap at the top. So this back edge needs to drop down a little bit, at least a mil. So what we'll do is we'll try and finesse this now, and just the height of it, and then I think we're about done. So I've just set the height, set the chassis nice and level using this old precision level, because my build stand has these jacks. I can sort of raise it fore and aft. I've also made sure it's flat this way as well. So and then I put it inside the smoke box, and I had to sort of raise this end by at least a mil to get the smoke box on the same level. So we'll take a mil out of that spacer that we've made, and try it again. Okay, so I've got it set up in the vise. Let's set our 0, and then we'll come down by I'll probably do it in 2 passes, do half a mil at a time. That should be plenty good enough. So it looks like I've taken a bit more off one side than the other when I was machining the curve. So as you can see, we're not actually taking anything off here, but we are nice and flat on the other face. So yeah, we'll go down another half a mil, down to 1 mil, and we'll try that. I'll put you on time lapse for the rest of this. So I think somebody once said, if you can't be good, be lucky, and I think we got lucky there. So yeah, that looks spot on. I'll put the smoke box and boiler back on, and we'll have another look, shall we? So I just put the level on. The level's flat with the top of the chimney, and it's the chassis and the level is level. So you can see that's about the amount of clearance we've got for the cab at the rear. So we're not doing too badly. The only thing I'd like to address is that I'd like to see this front edge come a good 5 mil further forwards here, and the thing that's now stopping that is that the boiler is just fractionally too long. And I think I noticed this when I very first started to assess what work needed to be done. and I thought I might need to shorten the boiler very slightly. So what I need to do is very carefully just take about 5mm from the front of the boiler. I'm not sure if you remember, but there is a cutout in the top of the boiler anyway for the spring design of regulator. So what that will do actually is make the seal there a lot better, because there won't be this huge gaping hole there. You know, it's all a bit tight at the top. So sorry about the shaky camera work, but I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview. So yeah, so next we need to need to very carefully hacksaw 5mm off the front of the boiler. Oh, it gets madder. It gets madder. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. But does that look reasonable, that sort of gap there? I know it's very... You've basically got the steam dome here, so you need space for that, and then I think the cab just sits up very slightly above the boiler. Obviously you've got the cladding as well. So yeah, we'll see how we get on with that. Okay, let's get the hacksaw out, shall we? So we're on the workbench now. I've measured the gap using these inside-outside calipers, and we can get up to 8mm. So I've measured 8mm on the calipers. I'll lock those, and then we can just run round front of the boiler. And see what that looks like. Okay. So yeah, that's we need to cut that much off. That still gives us we've still got a good 8mm till we hit the tube plate. So there's lots of space there. So it's not as scary as you might think. Although there's no going back. Once we start this, there is no going back. So I wasn't making much progress with the hacksaw, so yet again it was the angle grinder to the rescue, obviously with a slitting disc in this case. Okay, as you probably saw, I wasn't getting very far using a hacksaw, so I very carefully used the angle grinder. I say carefully, I did nick this fitting, but that'll still seal. And I've managed to follow the line quite nicely. It's just difficult to clamp this. It was just rocking all over the place. I'm just wondering, should I change the name of the channel to Model Engineering with Angle Grinders? Just a thought. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, I'm just going to clean up. I'd sort of left it a bit proud on this side, so I'll just get the finger sander in just to sand my fingers really, and then we'll try it offer it up to the chassis again. Okay, you can uncover your eyes now. It's all safe to come out. But yeah, I've done quite a nice job there. As you can see, there's still lots of meat left on the end, and yeah, hopefully that will fit into the smoke box now. Let's give it a go. So this is the view inside. So we're if you remember where the rivets are, there's a shoulder. So we're right up to the shoulder. We've basically come up to where that cutout was for the regulator. We've come all the way up to that, so it should mean we've got a good seal at the top as well, which was something I was worried about. This looks pretty good, and we're well onto this part now, so that's good. We could possibly go a bit further forwards, but I don't really want to take any more off the boiler, to be honest. So yeah, so I need to modify the ash pan again back to the original design. Hopefully it won't snap when I try and bend it back again. But I think that's a job for next week. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. We've got the boiler sitting in the right position now. Nobody can complain. We could reinstate the way shaft, but I think it would be a little bit tight on the cladding. So as I've done that job now and it works, I probably won't change it back. Yeah, so all good. So I think we'll leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I know one or two people will be very happy that I've moved the boiler again. So I look forward to hearing their comments, and I'll give you permission to say I told you so. Okay, yeah, but generally please leave comments. It does help feed the algorithm and gets me more views. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.